So it's not exactly hot outside right now, guys, but it's not exactly cold in the garage here either. So I've been heating the garage here with solar energy, and I'm going to use my laser here. I'll just give you guys a couple of shots of the temperature of the concrete. So that's where the heat from the solar is going. Goes into the concrete, and then it gets transferred into the air, and that's what keeps the wife's car nice and warm in here. And I tell you, I sure don't mind it either, parking the old Toyota in a warm garage. So working with Pecs tubing, of course you got to have some tools to make that happen, and I've got some of my favorites right here. I'm going to show you guys yet. So this one is a 1 inch, and this is a combination 1/2 and 3/4. And sometimes I'm crimping away there, and my big handled crimper just can't find enough room to make it happen. Like I won't have enough room to swing the handles and stuff. So check this tool out. So this is equivalent to a crimper. See, I can split this in half, and then I got a spot where it's just too tight to use the long handled crimper. So I'll assemble this thing around a piece of Pecs tubing that has the crimpering on it, and then get the bolts in there, and then get out the ratchet, and then slowly start working at it side to side. And then once it's completely compressed together, then that crimpering has been forced into a smaller size. There's a number of different fittings, T's and 90s and couplers, and here's even a plug. So for example, if I was going to plug this end, I'd get my crimpering on there, and I get my plug on there, and then I would crimp it, and then I got a nice sealed fit. So you know, I could go with a T or a 90, or you know what I'm talking about. Here's a 1 inch. It's a combination 1 inch to 3/4. So 1 inch, 1 inch, and this is a 3/4 inch end here. Come on, little chicken. Come on. Who's my cute chickens all day? Yeah, who's my cute chickens all day? Look at you guys. Okay, so let's say I got a piece of Pecs tubing here. I want to make it a little bit shorter. Use my fancy cutter. I tell you, that's better than a hacksaw any day. So I need my crimp ring on there, and my T-fitting. So I don't want my crimp ring too far back, because it's got to be over top of that fitting so that it can put pressure on it and make that crimp right. Alright, so now if you guys are a little unfamiliar with plumbing with Pecs, and there's a chance you could make a mistake, then it would be a good idea if you had somebody in there that had knowledge and was not going to make a mistake. Because you don't want your high pressure lines coming apart, you know, hot water and pressure and blasting you. And okay, so I'm going to just center that O-ring in there, or I mean that compression ring in there nice. Alright, so compress that tool all the way. Now I've got a nice fitting there. That one's not going to leak. So let's say, okay, well now I made a big mistake. I didn't want that T-fitting on there. I want to have a 90 on there. Okay, well then I'm going to use this cutter to cut that compression ring right off of there. See if I can get a good shot of that thing cutting. So I don't want to go too deep. Like it's going to cut the plastic a little bit underneath. That's okay, but I don't want to put a gouge in that T-fitting, because that's going to possibly create a little bit of a leak later. So that was really nice. I didn't damage that plastic too much, but I don't like to use the same spot over and over. I'm going to take that T out of there, bit of effort. So if I was going to put another fitting in there, I would actually cut this piece off. Start over again. So here's another important tool. This is actually a gauge to test whether or not the crimp has been shrunk enough to properly do the job. So different sizes here. So I'm working with 3/4 right now. So that should fit. That should fit on the crimp that I just made here. And it does. I can even spin it. So if I can't get that gauge on there, that tells me that either my crimper is not doing the job right, or maybe it's the operator, or one or the other. So I'm going to show you this also. So here I've got one that's I put this one in the crimper, so it's physically smaller than one that hasn't been. So you can see I can't even get this. See, I can't get that in there. But then if I take one that has been crimped, slips right in there. So a really important tool, especially for new crimpers or worn crimpers. You know, keep an eye on your crimps to find out if it's going to hold the job. So if I'm working with copper and I decide I want to convert over to Pecs, that's not a problem. So here's a fitting if I would have this all prepped for solder, and I could slide that together, solder it, and then this end is a crimp fitting for Pecs tubing. That's the mechanics of that right there. So I appreciate you guys watching. Just figured I'd throw a little bit of Pecs info at you guys.